Hello everyone. Today we'll talk about ArrayList, and in the previous video we discussed arrays, the traditional arrays, and we've learned that it's to expand that array or change its size is not straightforward. You need to create a new array with a bigger size, move the elements from the first array to the second array, remove the first one, and start working with the new one. And every time you want to do this, you will be repeating that process. The array list is more efficient because you can add and remove with no issue, and that give you more also functionalities in terms of working with your data that you store in the array list. So let's go through this one and see how it will work. So this is basically what does mean an array list. It is an array, but it's a resizable array, so it can grow in size based on how many elements you are adding into that array. So if you started, there's nothing there, we start adding one, then size will be one, adding two will be and so on. So and it implements something called list interface. We will come to the interface and abstract later in this course, but for now you need to know it is using something called interface. It's very common and used to store object because it gives you that flexibility to add as much as you want, remove, shrink, search, do, and there are lots of very rich methods in the array list that which we will see will allow you to process your data and deal with it in a dynamic way. So how you create it, these are the steps. First, you need to have a class that you will be using to create an object of. For example, if I want to look at my student who are in my class and I create a class roster with the student names and program and other thing, I need to create a class called student, and there I'll put all the data. If I have a company that sells cars, for example, I have large number of cars, of a company that uses cars for their transportations, there are many cars there, they can create a class called car, and then they create object from that for every specific car, and then they can add it to a database which will be our array list, sort of a database to store the cars. And you can look at passengers traveling, you can look at products of a company, you can look at accounts in a bank. All these are classes you can create, and then from that you create objects which you will need to store them somewhere, and the array list is the best place where you store them in a dynamic way. Eventually you will store this in a database on Oracle or MySQL or PostgreSQL or one of those databases, but while you processing it in your computer memory, you need them to be stored in an array list, and that be more efficient to do that. So that's, you need the class. Then you need to create a main class or another class. For example, you can have a student who is registered in courses. So the relation between student and courses, you can do it in one of the ways you can program it is you can create array list in the student class of the courses, and you can add to that student the courses that he or she is doing, and can be depends on how many courses he or she is doing that semester. So you can have student and class, and you can do that. But in this example, we'll have a main class and a class. So we'll have a student class and then a main class, and we will create an array list to store the students in the main class. So that's the second step. You need somewhere you will link this class to another class, and in our example will be the main. Later we'll look at other examples where we can connect to another class different. In the main class or the other class, we're going to use the array object. You need to import array list from Java library. This will give you access to all methods, attributes of the array list, and this is essential, and you cannot do it without importing Java utility ArrayList, and we'll see in the code. Once you import it, you need to create an object of ArrayList, or you need to create a storage. In this example, maybe we'll call it students, or another one you call it cards, and that storage where you add to the objects that you create. So students will add student class or object. Cards will add a car object, and so on. And this is needed, and we'll see how we do it. So, and then after you have it, you created your storage, which the array list. Now you have the access to add it, access certain object, modify it, and do lots of things. There's so many methods we'll go through. We'll see that we can use to manipulate or to work with our objects that are stored in the array list. Let's see a real example, and then we'll understand better. Now let's get now how we can create an array list. Assume we already imported array list and we are ready, but want now to create a storage. We call it array storage of array list. So first we need to create array list, so we need to put the data type as array list. Okay, that's, I think, understandable. Then what are we going to store inside this array list? This is the next question. We need to answer it. If I want to store student, I'll add something called student here, yeah? Car, so I need to decide what I want. And this is the way you add whatever you want to store, is you need less than, and then the class name, more than. So this has to go this way. So I'm going here with this one array list. I want to store student class objects created from student class. If I want to create from a car, will be less than car, and exactly the same capitalization of your class you need to follow. And then what do you want to call that storage, or what do you want to call that array list? Here I will call it students. So students is my array list, and from now on I will be using these students to add elements, to remove elements, to get elements, to sort the list. So this is my storage, which I want to add anything to it, I will use that storage to add the data to it. Now, similar to any objects we create from given class, you need the word new, of course, equal new. And now what do you think should come after new from your previous classes? A constructor, yeah, which will be the same name as the class name, will be the same as this one. So it has to be array list. Now, but it's a little different. Usually we'll have just with this small than and bigger than. For array list, you need this smaller than and more than. These two you need it, and also you need the open bracket and close bracket. So this is basically calling the constructor of the array list. So that's how you create it. Array list. Then you decide greater than, less than the object type of class you will be using in your array list. Then you give the array list a name, the new, and then the constructor of the array list. So now we have a storage called students. Which type of array list? We can now find out how we can add. We need to use methods. So assume I want to add an object to an array, to this array list. Now what is my array list? Is students. Now I want to add element to it. What do you expect will be? Yes, you are right. It should be add, yeah? So dot add. This is a method, one of the method of the array list that allow us to add objects to the array list. Now what we need to provide here in this add, inside the parameters, we need to send the object that we want to add. So we need to create the object first, then it will be added. So when we create an object, what we do? We'll use new, isn't it? So this line will be this: new student, which is the class student or constructor of the class student, and we're passing two parameters. One is the name, one is the age, and we close this one and close the other bracket. So basically this line will create an object that will be passed to the add method of the ArrayList student. And now one element is added. So the student now has one element inside it. Now if I want to add another one, this is another one, same thing. Student.add new student. Now there are two elements inside it. Now this is three elements inside it. And you can add more to do. Of course you can use scanners, ask user to enter data, and then you create object, you add them. You can do all these things. Now how can I get an element from a specific location? Assume I want to know the name of the student in location 0 or index 0. So we know this is index 0. This object Hamad is stored in index 0, Ibrahim in index 1, David in index 2. It's similar to normal array. So how we do that? If I want to get the name, I need to, when I get it, I need to store it somewhere. So the name is a string, so we'll say string, and we'll put a variable called name. Now here we need to get that element from the array list. Of course we need to go to the array list and find that element. So the array list is students. How we can get the element from a student? What method we should use? Yes, you are right. It's get. You expected it right. It's get, isn't it? It's logical. This is the beauty of object-oriented. You would anticipate or expect what will be next because it uses real-world scenarios or way of thinking. So get. I want to get element at location 0, which will be Hamad, yeah? Hamad location 0. Ibrahim location. So this one will get me Hamad object, but will get me the whole object so far. This one will get me the whole object Hamad. But I want just the name from that object. I can add dot name. If I want the age, I can add dot age. If I want the address, dot address, provided you have these attributes into your class. So this line actually will get me the name of the first person in index, the person in index 0. And now I have the name. I can do whatever I want to do with that name. If I want to get the second one, I'll put 1 here. Third will put 2, and so on to do with that. So this get me the object in that location, and then I can decide which attribute of that object I want to display. Clear? Now how I can remove an element from a location? Now get will not remove it, yeah, will just get me the data, but the element will stay in the array list. Now the next one we'll use remove. We will completely remove it. So instead of having 3 elements, we'll have only 2 elements. And how you do that? What do you expect to do? You need your array list and then dot remove. Again, it's logical, yeah? And I'm removing now 1, which will be the second element. So my array will have only Hamad and David there. So this is how you remove. And there are many other methods. We will see them later in this video. Now, let's get in our example. We have here a class we created called student. We're familiar with this one. We created multiple times, and it has a constructor called student, receive 2 parameters, and these are the 2 parameters we have. Now, this is our class. What we need to import. We need to import Java in the main class. This is the main class. In the main class, we need to import java.utility.array. Now this can be another class, not main class. For example, this is student, another one called measure. I have a class called measure, which store all the student in that measure, for example. That one also will need to import java.utility ArrayList. After we import that one, our next step is to create an array list, which we explained in the previous video. So that we need to say array list, then we storing student because this is student. If it is car, will be car. If it's whatever, and then this is the name of our array list, which we'll use, and we'll have new. Next, we need to add objects to it. So we create those objects. This can be done through so many different ways. One of it is you fix like this, or you use scanner to ask the user to enter the data, or you read data from a file and then you create objects of it and add it different ways. But it's a very simple. We have our array list as we explained. We use the word add, and then we add an object that we create. This line can be done in a separate line if you want to create the object, and then you just add it here. Here we're just doing it directly in the same line. So here we're adding the three objects, and then we can display the name of any student by using this way. Student get 0 if you want to get the one at 0, and we'll get dot name will display the name. Okay. Then if you want to display all objects in your array list, then again this is our for loop, enhanced for loop, which will go through the objects and display them one by one by using display method, which part of the class student here. So it goes through that one. Now if I want to remove an object, I can remove it by using the array list dot remove, and then if I display the data, I will find it's only now 2, not 3, because that element has been taken out and removed from the array list. I hope this clear. Now there's so many methods in the array list, as we said. Many of it, we know the add now, which simply add the element to the end of the list. Okay, but we have another add which overloaded, another one which has index as well. So I can provide index. I say store it in location 3, location 2. Then this one will find the location that I want to add it to, and will push everything according to that. So you provide two things, not only the elements, which here you provide the location, the index is a number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the element you want to add, and it will add it. Same thing, get will do that. You have set, which will change, replace an element. See, the add will push, if you add one to location 2, and in location 2 there is Ibrahim, it will push Ibrahim to location 3 and put the element into. But set will replace what in that location. Remove all these objects, you can, or these methods, you can get the size of the array list. Remember, in arrays we use length, here we use size to get how many elements in that one. Check if it is empty, there's nothing inside it. Use is empty, will give you boolean, means true or false, and you can clear everything in that element. This is one, and there are more here. Searching, if you want to search to find does that storage array list include this object, you can use something called contains, and it will go and tell you true or false. Is it there or not there? Okay, you can also find what object at that location. Using index of, you provide this will tell you what is the index of that object. So if you put an object and say, okay, find me the index of this object, will tell you the index, but will not give you the object, will give you the index where it's stored in your array list to do. And so many they are self-explanatory. I think you can understand them easily. So return the index of the last occurrence, for example, last index, last one you find it, and so on. Now iterating, going into the iterators, you can go into the loops. So return an iterator over the element in this list. So that's one, and there's another one on bulk operation, which you do an operation on all elements. So add all, you have a collection of so many elements in one place, you take them all and add them into that. That's one, and you can add them to specific location or just add them to the end. You can remove all or remove in specific. And then other converting to other structures. So if you have an array and you want to convert it to ArrayList, you can do that. So you have an ArrayList, you want to make it a normal array, so you use two array. That will take your ArrayList and make it a normal array. Then you can apply that to it, and you can synchronize, and you can there's so many of this. And the best way to learn this, you go into Java library and familiarize yourself with reading these methods. If you want to cover all the methods in every class, we will not be able to do, but you need to familiarize yourself. And it's a very logical way, as you can see, and most of it you would expect what should be the next one. With this one, we have another example here I just did for you, and here I want to show you if you want to sort an array list. So you have an array list and you want to sort it. In this example, we are importing additional things like collections and comparator. These two objects, two libraries, we will need them in this example. And this is basically we're creating array list that stores string, just text, yeah, and that's the way we create it. Then you can add to that one banana, apple, whatever. You can add the object. Now if you want to sort it, you need to use collections. So you say collections dot sort and you pass the list. Now if you display your list, you will find them sorted automatically. And then if you replace all element in that list with another one, you can say list.replace all, and you provide the new sorted data, which you already sorted, or new data. And also if you want to print sorted list, you can use this one, list.forEach, instead of having a for loop. Just use for each, and then you can print that one. So this is another example, and I think with this one we are done. I hope you find this video useful. We'll do another video later when you link two classes like student register in a major, or student register in courses, or passenger in a flight, or products in a supermarket. Okay, those type of relationship, we will look at it, and then we will do some examples and explain how to use it. The process is the same, the logic is the same, but just you will see it later, and I'm sure you're getting to know how to do it, even without me doing that video. So I hope you finding these videos useful, and you learning. Practicing is important, as I said multiple times. Just listening to these videos or watching videos will get you some knowledge, but you will not gain the skills unless you practice, make mistake, fix this mistake, and learn this way. Thank you again.